If only that was vodka for this game.
Come in, I could see.
Well, hello everyone, and welcome back to another episode of All Around the Platinum, the show where I platinum a game, we talk about it and go into detail. This one, however, slightly different. So, as you guys can see, it's no surprise, I have platinumed Marvel's Avengers. It's by far the worst game I've ever played in my life, ever. So the game is actually rated a 3 out of 10 to get all the trophies and everything on PSN profiles. Again, I'll let you know in the end whether or not I agree with that. So this video is going to be slightly different. With my other All Around the Platinums, I've obviously talked about the game, kind of shown you guys the trophies popping, whether it be me on camera doing it, whether it just be a recording, whether it be the the clip from the PlayStation itself, and then kind of give my ratings and stuff in the end. However, with this one, I feel like I need to talk a little bit differently about it, because this game is genuinely one of the worst things I've ever played in my life. Bugs that have been in it since day one, the fact that the game itself is a live service that just sucks 24/7, and just the sheer amount of controversy around this game, whether it be from the devs lying about things just being cosmetic and then becoming, pay to win. Whether it be a case of the servers being shut down this year because, live service. Or whether it's the rest of the controversy where clearly they just didn't care about this game. I don't know what the problem was. But whatever it is, I'm going to be doing this video slightly differently. I'm going to be giving you my normal little take and my little talk about the game and platinuming it. However, I'm also going to be doing a little bit of a conversation, shall we say, about the actual game, the gameplay itself, specifically the story, the acting, and then in the end, we're going to talk about why this game failed and why it's such a terrible excuse for a game. But before we get into that, here's the final few trophies popping. I hope you guys enjoy it. I sure did not enjoy platinuming it.
Complete harm training to learn vital skills. Let's take a minute to go over ritual objectives.
Commander Hill, what's the situation?
Well, first...
The enemies have been defeated. Nice work, Avengers. Nice work, Avengers.
Abomination is a lot.
It's kawaii. Don't judge, bitch. Yeah. So there are all the trophies popping. Now, you may have noticed there's no platinum trophy, and there's a lot less of the trophies than there actually are in the game. There is a reason for this. And that reason is the footage just disappeared. I don't know where it went. I must have accidentally deleted it by mistake. And it is gone. I don't have it anymore, so it won't be in here. However, on that basis, I think we need to start talking about the game. So we're going to start with the gameplay. The footage you're seeing in the background right now is actually very old gameplay of when the game first came out, when I was actually playing it live on stream back then, and I went through the entire campaign on stream. However, the gameplay to this game is it's just a snooze fest. I can't even say snooze fest. It's that bad. It's a snooze fest. It's awful. For the first 2 hours, you might have a fairly okay time with it, you know, beating up enemies, stuff like that. After that, you'll get bored. It's so crap. It's dull. That's the problem. It is dull. There is no innovation. It doesn't matter what character you play as. You basically use your skills in the same way that you would use every single character, and then just, you know, fight an onslaught of the same enemies. And it gets really monotonous really quickly. Like, I mean, to the point of where it is not even fun. You just literally get bored. It's... I don't know. I can't describe it any other way than boring, dull, uninitiated. Bruh. Okay. Uninventive, and just bland. Everything about it just screams mediocrity, and it is. It's absolutely dreadful. I'm trying not to swear too much because I can't be bothered to keep censoring, but this is the only way I can describe it. It is boring.
Why are we still here? Just to suffer?
Okay, so the second thing that I actually want to talk about is the story to the game, which is actually an aspect that I enjoyed. I'll be honest, the story to Marvel's Avengers was not terrible, right? I actually had an okay time with it. The voice acting was really good. Like, there was a lot of good voice actors in there. There was only one character that I really didn't like, and that was the main character. I don't know. I never cared about her, which sounds awful, I know, but at the same time, her voice acting was kind of meh, and her lines were just not good. There was a lot of cringy lines in it, and a lot of uncomfortable moments, and just, I don't know, like the rest of the cast and the rest of the voice actors, it felt like they actually paid people who wanted, or not maybe wanted, but kind of at least knew what they were doing more there. And they wrote better for them too. But yeah, the story overall, not terrible. I thought it was okay. It was probably one of the many reasons I was able to get through the entire campaign, was because it wasn't terrible. It was okay. I wouldn't say it was great. I wouldn't say it was anything that blew my mind or made me want to replay through the entire story again, but it was okay. It was good enough. Okay, so the third thing that we're going to talk about, which is going to be a little bit bigger and a little bit longer, I guess, than the others. I've obviously mentioned two of the things already in this video. One was a broken promise that the developers actually made. They said there would never be any paid consumables, there was never going to be boosters, there was never going to be pay-to-win mechanics in the game. And pretty much a couple of months later just added boosters and XP stuff and pay-to-win mechanics into the game. And it just annoyed everyone. And it was a joke. It was a seriously huge joke that they did this. It was basically a spit in the face of anyone that actually gave them the money for the game and trusted that they would keep their promise of not adding this stuff in. So there's basically an article on Screen Rant. I'll leave a link for it down below if you guys are interested in going to look at it. But yeah, Marvel's Avengers pay-to-win items were a slap in the face. Marvel's Avengers paid consumable boosters represented a broken promise between the developer and its fans, and Crystal Dynamics should make amends. Yes, they should. Now, this is another thing that I wanted to talk about. A lot of people have not mentioned this recently. I think it's become more clear after Forspoken came out, but it seems like, to be honest, Square Enix just don't care about their audience anymore. Like, I don't think they ever did, but specifically when it comes to these stupid live service games, it just seems like they're happy to just spit in the face of their fans and tell them, F you, get on with it, because we're allowed to. And this is one of the many reasons that this game as a live service failed. I remember when the demo for this game came out, right? And the demo came out, I remember playing through that beginning section and thinking, wow, this is going to be incredible if it was a single-player, solo campaign. That maybe you could have friends join you to play certain areas or sections of the campaign, maybe have like a sort of co-op area or section added on to the game. But no, they had to make it a live service because heaven forbid they don't have a live service in this day and age. And I think with this game as well, a lot of obvious stuff has come forward that people just don't like live service games anymore. You can't do them. They're crap. They don't work. There were two live services that come straight to mind that I can say, do you know what? They work. They've been around long enough to keep going. That's Fortnite and Destiny 2. They are the two games that have managed to pull it off long enough that they are now a staple of how you do a live service. Every other live service, at least to my knowledge, that has come out has either shoved microtransactions absolutely up the wazoo everywhere just to make as much money as they can, or just absolutely decimated and butchered the actual material they had. Marvel's Avengers probably being one of the biggest disappointments in gaming history in a very, very long time. If not probably ever, bar, E.T. We don't talk about E.T. But yeah, to carry on with this article, when Marvel's Avengers was announced, the CEO of the game's developer, Crystal Dynamics, said that there would be no pay-to-win DLC, only cosmetics. However, this claim was proven to be false after consumable boosters were added to the game's marketplace. Although these have since been removed, they came back. Players were infuriated at seeing the developers go back on its word. Marvel's Avengers did not have an easy first year, facing various criticisms about its gameplay design and more, all, by the way, absolutely valid. Like, it's still to this day dreadful. There's a reason it's shutting down. We'll be talking about that in a second. Adding more pay-to-win DLC opened up another round of controversy, one that only served to make a bad situation worse for the game and its creators. Creators. Crystal Dynamics desperately needed to do something to earn some positive momentum because Marvel's Avengers boosters broke a promise, and that player base is upset with other changes that have been implemented since. Can we also just appreciate the fact, by the way, that this was just the second year. This was last year, not 2023, 2022. This was back then, and the first year was awful. The second year just got worse, and then we had this year, which leads me on to my next point, the fact that the servers are shutting down. They literally announced it this year. They're going to be shutting down the servers in 2023, and I'm not shocked. I'm not surprised. The game is not popular. It is hated by pretty much universally everyone, and it's just a dreadful game, and it's really frustrating because the thing is, Marvel's Avengers could have been a fantastic live service game. It could have been. Hear me out. Imagine you have that single player experience, the campaign. Let's say they did a little bit more effort, made a bit more of an effort in the dialogue and adding characters and things like that, but forgetting about all of the adding stuff, just the campaign alone was serviceable. It was okay, a little bit more effort. They could have had a really impressive campaign on their hands which branched off into the multiverse and different versions of these characters as well. The combat should have been designed around each character very specifically. Hey, Black Widow uses guns and martial arts. Her entire combat design should be mapped around that. Hey, Thor has his hammer. Let's use that along with his mythical, lightning powers. That is his combat. Captain America, fantastic with a shield, a brawler in his own right, so let's use that, and in combination with a shield and, just the utter power that he has, let's incorporate that. Instead, you gave them all generic movesets that basically played exactly the same whoever you played as, and 3 abilities that maybe used their actual, stapled items. And it just didn't work. It was awful. And it's so infuriating because the potential for this game was there. It was there from the start. The moment it was announced that Crystal Dynamics were making an Avengers game, people were absolutely over the moon. I remember when the trailer got released, people were excited. They could not wait. At this point, loot boxes and microtransactions and live services had not destroyed the trust of gamers. So we were excited. The game came out. It was crap. And that is why this year it's going to be shutting down its servers. And what infuriates me more, and this is the third point that we're going to talk about, now we've moved off of the servers shutting down, is the fact that the game is still broken and still has bugs from the day it was launched in the game. The game's nearly been out for 3 years and there are still day one bugs in the game. I mean, you cannot call yourself a live service and your game doesn't work properly. I've had multiple crashes in the game, multiple deadlocks, which almost broke my console. I've had multiple times where dialogue wouldn't come through, where visual glitches happen all the time, where I would literally go to one of the stores in the game now, not the microtransaction store, go into one of them, try to buy maybe a piece of equipment or gear, and it's taken my resources and given me nothing back. This game is so broken and still to this day doesn't work properly. that even trophies are glitched. It's very annoying. Like, when I finished this game off, I believe I finished it this year, I managed to get the platinum for it, I had to do it all on my own. I did ask Sean if he wanted to join me and play the game, but I actually found out from Sean that his game was bugged. And I actually found out that the specific bug he was talking about was actually for defeating 50 hives. I believe it's 50 hives anyway. And basically, it resets after a week. Whose idea was that? You don't reset trophy progress. It's just a stupid thing to do and discourages people to actually play the game and try and get your platinum or try and get all these achievements and trophies. It's part of enjoying one of the, a game that you play. You want to be able to experience everything if you have fun with it. This was just a massive off-put for a lot of people. One of the people that I watched recently did platinum the game, and his video says it all. I highly recommend you go and watch it, but his video says it all, man. Like, it's such a disheartening and unfun experience to go through this game and platinum it, and it was for me too. I don't blame people for not wanting to platinum the game or not even wanting to play it anymore. It's just a disappointing game all around. There are a lot more controversies that we could talk about in this, but I don't really want the video to be going on for too long. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to just sit here talking your guys' ears off, just talking about specific little points here and there. Again, there's plenty of stuff you can go out there and look up. You are more than welcome to do so. But if you are a person who played this game and was disappointed by it, yeah, so was everyone. Okay, so my fourth and final thing before we get into the ratings of this game. The disappointment is unmeasurable. It's so frustrating, and I think this isn't just about Marvel's Avengers either. I think it's about the live service industry in general. Most live service games are being shut down by the dozen recently, and a lot of games are being cancelled because they were live services. Christ, Sony themselves are planning on releasing a ton of live service games over the next few years, and the problem is there is just no point. You are not going to reach the success of Fortnite or Destiny 2 and even a few others that have managed to get some semblance of success. GTA is one of the perfect examples of that. GTA Online is a live service. It makes literally billions every year, and they've managed to keep that going for over a decade. But people are still getting annoyed with them. And the thing is, with live services as well, they take time. You don't just play through a campaign and that's the end of your live service until more stuff gets added. No. They want you to spend hour after hour, day after day, week after week, grinding on their game to get as much time in as possible, to spend as much money as you possibly can. And it just doesn't work. It's not possible to do that. If there are so many live service games saturating the industry right now, and the biggest issue is that people don't have time to play them all. Even if someone enjoys a live service game, they may not have the time because of a job. They have to be very picky about what games they play. They might like a live service, but they might go, well, I'd rather play through this single player experience, get a really enjoyable story and compact experience, rather than have to pour literally hundreds of hours into a live service just to get anywhere. Like, please, the gaming industry needs to change this. Live services cannot keep going how they are going because they're just not going to work. And more games are going to come out, more games are going to get cancelled, more games are going to just get their servers shut down. And this is another big thing with live services. If you pay for a game, people like myself bought Marvel's Avengers, they're shutting down the servers. I believe there is a single player aspect that you can play offline, but a lot of stuff for that game is going to be completely cut off. A game that I paid for, I will no longer be able to access certain parts of it because they just don't want to carry on looking after the game, because rightfully so, they're not making any money from it. And this isn't just this isn't just a Marvel's Avengers problem. This is an industry problem. You pay for a game, and at the whim, they can just take that game and all of its content away from you if they don't sort of patch in a way to play solo offline, kind of like they did with Back 4 Blood, I guess. They did incorporate a single player offline mode for that game, but there is still plenty of things that will get cut off once they shut the servers down for that game, which I believe they have announced. And this is the problem with live service. It just breeds disappointment, whether it be through the game itself being lackluster and unfun, or whether it be a case of that companies aren't making enough money from it, so they just shut it down on a whim, even if their fan base that they do have there is enjoying the game, which means the fan base loses the game regardless. There was a game way back called Marvel Heroes Omega, I believe, and I used to absolutely adore that game. I played it for a very short time. I was willing to put a bit of money into the microtransactions because I genuinely had a fun time with it. I loved Marvel. It was a big MMO world that was all about Marvel, kind of like DC Universe Online, which we're talking about in the next episode. But they shut the service down for that game, and then the game was gone. All the money that I had poured into that game, gone. All of the items that I had acquired and wanted to carry on with, gone. I spent probably over £200 on that game, and a lot of people can say, yeah, well, that's your fault, but I enjoyed the game at the time, and it was just announced that they were taking the game away, and there was no way to get refunds either. Guys, this is a serious issue. You're at that point stealing people's money, and it is theft because you literally just take the game away, so the thing they've paid for or put money into is gone. That's ridiculous and very, very suspicious. I would love to call it criminal, but I actually don't think it is. I think there is a gap in the law here where this is something that companies can do. They can just take away your games and you can't even fight them in court for it. I think there is something in certain user license agreements which says this thing, but apparently there's been controversy and talk, I believe, about like how if you actually took a company to court, you could actually win over them taking something that you had paid for away. I don't know if there's any truth to that. You'd have to do your own research on it because, quite frankly, I can't be bothered. But yeah, let's leave this final section before the ratings on this final note. A game that was very recently announced, Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. And it was announced a few years back, I believe, but there was like gameplay and stuff that was shown recently. And it was so hated, they've actually now rumours going around that they're delaying the game again, either till late 2023 or possibly even 2024. It's a live service game from a company that is well known for doing Batman Arkham Asylum, Batman Arkham City, Batman Arkham Knight, games that had a solo storied experience. Knight kind of went off the beaten path doing an open world, but it wasn't bad. It was still excellent. It had its problems, don't get me wrong, and when it launched it was broken as but it worked and it was fantastic. And even that company is now being forced to make a crappy generic live service action game which is going to be stuffed up the wazoo with a battle pass, with a store, and again, you can guarantee that stuff will work, but the game itself will not work. And this is the issue that people are now having. They've now delayed this game. They're now having to rework stuff. And the problem is a lot of people are hoping that they're going to change this game within the time frame they've got, so it's no longer a live service. They can't. They would need to delay the game for years to be able to rework the entire systems that have been functioned and put into the base of the game. It's still going to be a live service. It's still going to suck. And the sad thing is that it might have a great story to it, which actually, to be honest, the story to Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League looks awesome. It looks really intriguing and cool. It's the one thing that made me want to buy the game. And then I found out it was live service and that it's all about numbers and it's all about gear and it's all about constantly playing and grinding, and immediately I was put off. And I don't think I'm the only one to feel that way. Please, I hope that as a community, as the gaming community, something needs to change here. Live services keep getting pumped out. This is only going to end one way. And it's going to be a lot of companies that we loved once utterly destroying themselves and ending up in the ground because they just keep pushing this same crap that doesn't work. But that's it. That's my rant. And the reason I wanted to do this rant was because I'm quite passionate about games. I love playing games. I love a good story. I love the immersion you can get in games. But to be quite honest, live services are starting to kill the gaming industry, in my opinion. And if it continues the way it's going, I actually see this becoming a seriously major problem in the next few years. People are just going to get sick of it. And there are going to be very few companies that actually produce good games. I don't know. All I hope is that live services stop becoming the main thing that's focused on and we start bringing it back to what the community wants. games that are fun, engaging, enjoyable, and most importantly, have a whole experience that once you pay for it, it is yours, and only yours, until whenever you don't want to play it anymore. And it can't just be taken from you by a big company. Let's hope, eh? Okay, so with all that out of the way, I think it's time that we get on to the ratings and enjoyment and the hardest trophy. We're at that point now. I think let's get this done, otherwise this video is going to be really, really long. But yeah, so if I was to put my enjoyment out of 10 in this game, I would absolutely give it a 3. It was awful. It's not fun, it is grindy. The story kind of helps it boost up by maybe a point, but it's nothing special, and it's nothing out of this world incredible that's going to save the game or encourage someone to go and play the game, in fact. So yeah, absolutely, it's a 3 out of 10. It's not very fun at all. The difficulty of the game, I would give it probably a 4, not a 3 out of 10. The reason I would give it a 4 is because of the bugs, the glitches, and just the sheer grind of the game. It's not a fun grind, it's not an enjoyable grind, it's not a fun game to have to go through all of the trophies for to get the platinum. It is just a horrendous experience, and it just takes all of the fun and enjoyment out of playing a game and just shoves it down into a vat of despair and unhappiness. Yeah, 4 out of 10. It's not hard, just awful. And as for the hardest trophy, I'm going to list this one as To the Dark and Back Again. Complete 50 hive missions. Again, not a hard trophy to get, just incredibly grindy, considering that each hive will take you anywhere from 15 to 20 minutes to do. It's a lot of hours of grinding and doing the same thing over and over and over for multiple hours. And normally grinding's fine, but grinding in this game is just not fun. So by far, this trophy is the hardest. But I wouldn't consider it difficult, just more annoying. And that's it, guys. I am done talking about Marvel's Avengers. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you enjoyed kind of the little chat we had about why this game in depth was just bad, and also the live service gaming industry at whole, and why it needs to change soon, I hope. Again, if you liked the video, please like the video. If you didn't like it, dislike it. Feel free to leave a comment down below. Let me know what I can do to improve. And if you haven't already subscribed to the channel, I would be greatly appreciative of that as well. So yeah, thanks guys for watching. It's been an absolute pleasure to make this video for you. I'll catch you in the next one. Goodbye for now.